collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Mandalorian's N-1 Starfighter from the Epic Heroes series for Star Wars from Hasbro. So I found this at Target for $30. You get the N-1 Starfighter, but you also get Mando, his backpack, and Grogu. So, you know, these figures are normally sold for, I think they started out at $10 a piece. Now they're down to like $7.99, $8. So I've even seen some on clearance. But if you think about the fact that I don't think you're getting all of the accessories, like I don't think Grogu's pram is included or anything like that. And I don't know if he's going to have any guns or anything inside. We'll have to wait and see. But, you know, kind of two drilled down, you know, $10 releases plus the N-1 Starfighter for $30. I feel like that's fair. They probably, you know, stripped the accessories so they could kind of get this more in the like $10 to $15 range. And then this is probably in like the $15 to $20 range. So I feel like the value's there. We'll see how it goes once we get this all open and everything. But at least, you know, I see where the price is coming from just by looking at this. So you have a kind of standard style of packaging where the N-1 Starfighter is just tied onto the card here, but then the figures are in this bubble. Looks like it has 2 fire missiles. It has a cockpit for both, and then it has something called boost mode where you can swivel around part of the engine and it extends, and that looks kind of neat. Some cool artwork here on the front. Spinning it around to the back, again just showing off the features, all that kind of good stuff. Pretty standard packaging for this, not really anything going on the bottom. And then you do get the Epic Heroes series logo there on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and get this open and we'll take a closer look. So here's everything you get in the set. Of course, the N-1 Starfighter, you get Mando and Grogu. We'll take a look at the figures real quick. I want to do kind of a deep dive comparison, but first off, we'll just take a real quick look at them. So Mando, I think, looks fine. You know, I would just imagine that this whole thing has been cast in black plastic, so all of the metallic silver is paint. And I think it looks pretty good. Some nice Beskar plates here on the thighs. Some nice molding and detail down here for the boots. You have his belt here and bandolier painted in brown. Some nice silver here. Now, one thing I noticed about the Epic Hero series for Star Wars, they have these peg holes on the sides of the arms. And I'm assuming it's because some of the figures come with like large missile launcher accessories and things that they want you to peg into the forearms. Just kind of looks really garish and weird to me. But you can see he has the sigil there on his shoulder, which looks great. The helmet, I think, looks pretty good. Even the cape piece, I think, is not bad. It's very easily removable, so you can see it just has a cut there. And then you have this big hole here in the back, but all of this paint for the belt and bandolier does go all the way around, which is nice. He's got a holster there for his gun, and it almost looks like something is supposed to fit in there. So you can see that it's actually kind of hollowed out. So what I'm thinking happened is they obviously sell a normal retail version of this, which comes with all the accessories. So his hand pistol might actually fit in there, and I think that's actually kind of cool. Unfortunately, this release did not come with any accessories, even though, if we take a look at the instructions, he is shown holding a gun in the instructions, but I have checked the packaging multiple times. I do not believe a gun was included. So I think because this is a set with the vehicle, and they wanted to give you the figures, but they had to kind of cut down for costs, so there are no accessories. So if you want his accessories, you will have to buy the standard separate release. But overall, it's a decent looking figure. Like I said, you have the cape piece here, which I actually think works pretty well. Slides around the neck pretty easily. And I think it hangs nicely off to the side. I think he looks good. All that's pretty cool. If you want to use the jetpack, obviously, you're going to slide that right off. And then you have this massive slug of plastic in the jetpack. It's just really huge. I don't know why it needed to be this big, done in this light gray plastic. And that just pegs here onto his back. It looks kind of ridiculous on his back because it's just too big. It just does not need to be this big, in my opinion. They could have, you know, made this a normal size. But yeah, I don't know. It's huge. Really big. So that is the jetpack. That's all that does. Honestly, I would have foregone the jetpack in favor of his weapons if we were cutting costs, but I guess the jetpack is more exciting. So it's an okay 5 POA. I didn't even go into the articulation. So the head's on a ball joint. I'll take the cape back off. You can move the head up and down ever so slightly, but you can certainly swivel side to side, no problem. You have rotation here in the shoulder, nothing in the forearm, nothing in the wrist, or elbow, I should say. 90-degree bend. I guess technically can you go back? No, he does have a butt flap, so you can only go 90-degree forward, nothing in the knee, nothing in the ankle. So it is a 5 POA Star Wars figure, very reminiscent of like the early Kenner days or the retro collection that they have going on. But he does have a cape, and the cape does look good. But yeah, I would have easily tossed the jetpack for his accessories, his weapons, but that's just me. In any case, there's Mando. Grogu, very basic, not really much going on here. I think the expression's pretty good though, honestly. He looks cute. Eyes are nicely painted, the ears are nicely painted, the arms can rotate, although everything's really stiff on mine. I think the head is supposed to be able to move, but mine doesn't want to, and I really don't feel like twisting it off by accident. And then he's got one peg hole there. You can see they molded in his little feet, which I think is kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really expect much out of this because he's such a tiny little guy. But I feel like the paint and the detail on the face is actually pretty good. I think they did a nice job with that. So putting these guys off to the side for the moment, we will get into the actual ship here. So when you get this out of the box, there is a small amount of assembly required. This piece here just pegs into the back. I feel like, I mean, I guess it's the same color as this, so it has that going, but it's just very jarring. I think, and it's been a minute since I've actually looked at the ship in the show, but isn't the tail the same color all the way back? I could be wrong. You have some nice paint applications here with these like yellow strips. You do have to pop the canopies in. So this one's very simple. You just kind of wedge this piece in here, just kind of snap it in, and then this will close up. I actually surprisingly had a decent amount of difficulty with this one because you have to pop it into this track so it slides, which I appreciate that it slides because that's what it's supposed to do. It's what it does on the show and in the movies. But it was very difficult to, like, the one side wanted to go in but not the other side, and there's kind of like this little tab here, I'm assuming, so that when it goes up it'll click into place. So you have to make sure you kind of do it behind that. But also you saw when I slide this, it tends to want to like rock around in here. It's just not that well done. You can even kind of lift it up, which I don't really like. I don't know. It's fine. And it'll click into place there. And you can see some decent molded detail inside the cockpit. No paint applications or anything, just molded detail in there. But this just, I wish that was a little better executed. It's fine. It's not terrible, but it's a little wonky. That's all. You have these two missiles that you load in here. They are spring-loaded, so you have the little buttons here. One, I wish these were underneath, because I don't really know why they couldn't have been. It's very weird to see them up front on top. I feel like they definitely could have just molded them down here. I feel like that's where they're supposed to be. They fire really well, though. I'll give them that. So they do shoot out pretty well. Pop them right back in. They stick out kind of far, though. I wish they only stuck out to about like here. Then they wouldn't be so jarring to hang out there the whole time. But no landing gear, nothing underneath like that. But it does have this boost mode where basically what you do is you grab this little tab here and you swivel this. And as you do that, you can see it extends this piece. So we'll do that again over here. So you flip this. And then that extends. And that's actually kind of cool. You have some nice translucent blue plastic there. I guess for the hyperdrive. That's pretty cool. I think it's a neat little feature. I do like that. That is something I didn't know that it did. I was not expecting it. But I think that's actually kind of cool. Simple little feature. Works well. Looks cool. I like it. So all in all, the ship's fine. I mean, like I said, it doesn't have any landing gear, but it does kind of, easily balance on that. You can kind of spin it around, though. It's okay. Honestly, I think it's fine. The nice thing is, the Vintage Collection one is like upwards of $130. Now, I think that comes with a display stand and all that. But if you just want something for $30 or technically less, if you think about the fact that you get figures as well, this is a decent alternative. So if you're just looking for an N-1 Starfighter for your Mando, it's a decent alternative. It's certainly cheaper by about $100. Vintage collection vehicles are just out of control. I don't know. They're nice, they're detailed, they are pricey. So, it's okay. It's fine. Like I said, I don't love it. I don't hate it. But I mean, I could leave these out, honestly, if I wanted to just take these out and just kind of leave it like that. It's a little bit less garish, but still, these are so built up. If they were underneath, I would have no problem. Because the other thing is, then they'd be kind of underneath here, and I think it would look better. So I really do wish they were underneath. I think the hyperdrive function is pretty cool. I think that's a really nice little feature. The translucent blue plastic looks good. I like that a lot. The cockpits are fine. Could be better. Not terrible, just a little wonky. Kind of wish it had official landing gear. That would be nice. This piece is, you know, kind of a softer plastic, so we'll see how that holds up over time. But for the most part, you know, for $20 or whatever the value of the actual ship is in this set, I think this is pretty fair. I think it's pretty good. Let's go ahead and actually put the figures inside now. So we'll slide this forward, and then we'll open this up, and we'll bring our figures back. Grogu very easily. You just pop him right in here. Now, I will say his ears make it a little difficult to position him in here. So you just kind of have to find a spot that works. But yeah, his ears can make it a little difficult. Let me see if I turn him more this way, maybe. Also, his hands now seem to want to get caught. So it's not the best fit, but again, it's nothing wrong with it. Let's see if this works. His ears are really giving me the business here. I know it works because I did it earlier. Just have to find the right position. There we go. Okay, so he's in. Mando, we're going to have to remove the cape. I guess I'll probably leave the hands down, actually. I think it's easier to do it that way. But he slides right in. Simple enough. No issue there. Close this up. And it's pretty cool. You can see them in there. They fit nicely. Don't rock around too much in there, which is actually kind of nice. I really wish there was somewhere, like if you're not going to put the missiles down here, maybe some of this could have had like a little hatch for storage for some of these extra pieces. Would have been nice. Technically, you can peg this in like to one of these screw holes. It does kind of work. Now, it won't make sense when it lands. It won't work. But you can kind of do that. There's also one back here that for whatever reason, when you put it in this way, it's too loose. But if you swivel it around, it works. So you can kind of store it under there. So I doubt any of those are intentional. They're just screw holes, but kind of works. So you can kind of store it underneath there if you want. But I wish there was some kind of compartment or somewhere, or maybe, you know, back in here somewhere, or, I mean, it would be difficult because this is kind of long. I get that, but it would have been nice. So just, I get it, you know, for what the price is, I'm asking too much. I get that. But if I'm just saying things I would love to see, I think that could have been cool. But the other thing is I want to try this out with some other figures. All right, so I want to try a couple other 4-inch figures just to kind of show you if this will work. So first up, we have, this is a Hasbro/Kenner Retro Collection Star Wars figure. So if I go ahead and pop him in here, he fits very easily. Honestly, he might move around a little bit more. If I close this up, yeah, he might move around a little bit more, but he fits. Totally fits, so he will work. This is a Vintage Collection Clone Trooper, so I will have to position his legs appropriately. We'll see, maybe if I, well, his feet should hopefully work. We'll see how this goes. But if I drop him in here, maybe if I angle his feet down a little bit, might help. Okay, he's in. Will he clear the canopy, though? That's the real question. Barely. If I took the helmet off, it would probably work better. But he's in there. He fits. It works. It's a little snug. But like I said, if you have other Vintage Collection figures that maybe don't have as large heads, like let's see if I can... First of all, can I take the helmet off without taking the head off? There we go. So if I pop him in there without the helmet, Yeah, he fits. And I could probably position him a little better, but totally fits, so that will work. And then we have Iron Man from the Epic Hero series for Marvel. Now, he's got pretty big boots, so I don't know if this will work. Hey, there we go. All right, even Iron Man can drive. So if you're looking for this as an alternative to the Vintage Collection one, again, because of the price, you could buy this, and probably most of your Vintage Collection figures would probably fit with this. Might take a little bit of, shimmying and maneuvering, but I really think if I can get Iron Man's giant clunky feet in there, shouldn't be an issue. So I think that's kind of cool. You could definitely use this with your other Vintage Collection, Retro Collection characters, and shouldn't be a problem. So before we wrap this up, something else I wanted to kind of touch on, because this is my first foray into the Star Wars Epic Hero series. I haven't really bought any of the releases so far because I kind of didn't see the point. To me, the Epic Hero series for Star Wars is kind of a conundrum because we already have the Retro Collection, which appears to be on par articulation-wise, and then we have the Vintage Collection, which is just more detail, better painted, more accessories, better articulation. And then for a straight comparison, Epic Hero Series to Epic Hero Series, I wanted to bring in Iron Man. So I kind of want to go through these one by one and just kind of talk about what we're getting, price, and I'm just kind of still a little confused why they just did the Epic Hero Series for Star Wars. So again, I feel like the 4-inch to 3 3/4-inch Star Wars needs were already being met because we have the Vintage Collection, we have the Retro Collection, and so we have, again, 5 POA. This is 5 POA. I think this guy's helmet moves. Maybe on this guy it doesn't, but there are other characters that do. This guy might just be 4. But again, you have basically just the shoulder and hip swivel, same kind of articulation, same kind of paint applications. I mean, this guy is mostly black, but that's because he's supposed to be. I think we've had better painted characters, and that's perfectly fine. Now, accessory-wise, this guy didn't come with accessories, so I didn't include any accessories. I believe he came with 2 guns, though, if I remember correctly. And then again, you have these peg holes on the forearm. I guess the other release, or just some of the characters in general, have, missile launchers, spring-loaded gimmicky things that you can peg into the side of the forearms. So, I get that they're trying to load it with play features, and that's why they seem to think that spring-loaded missile launchers are just the coolest thing in the universe. I mean, Mission Fleet had a ton of those as well, and I would basically open up the package, get the figure out, get the ship out, throw the spring-loaded missile thing to the side. I mean, look, I get that I'm not the target demographic for Epic Hero Series, but is the target demographic really in love with spring-loaded missiles as much as they seem to think they are? I would argue no, but I could be completely wrong. But they're really hanging their hat on those spring-loaded missiles. But in any case, so I feel like these are kind of on par with each other, and I think these retail, I think they started out at $10, but they've probably gone up because everything's gone up. I find them at Ollie's or Marshall's or Ross for $5 a piece. These started out at, I think, somewhere between 10 and 12 and have kept going down because I don't think they're doing well. So yeah, I guess I don't know why I need this when I have this. Maybe they're afraid the Retro Collection won't appeal to the younger demographic because of the word retro or something. I don't know. But these seem pretty on par with each other. Then you have the Vintage Collection, which again, I think they started out at $12.99, and then they were $15.99, and by now they're probably $20 or something like that. But you have, a hinge in the shoulder, a rotation, hinge and rotations in the elbow, wrist swivels, hinge and rotation in the hips. You have ball joints in the torso. The heads are on ball joints. So, I mean, all around, the articulation is 10 times better on this than this. And that's not really fair to directly compare them. And I'm not trying to say, oh, this has better articulation, so that makes this trash. But I feel like if this is on the peg for $10 to $12. And this is on the peg next to it for $15 to $20. I don't really know why I would go with this. Now, I guess parents buying them might, because they're cheaper and maybe sturdier. And again, apparently spring-loaded missile launchers. But I don't know. Even when I was young, I feel like I would have rather had this. For a few dollars more, I don't know why I wouldn't pick this. It's just so much better in every way. And I don't know. That's my opinion. But I feel like the best direct comparison to do is Epic Hero Series to Epic Hero Series. So we have the Epic Hero Series for Marvel, which is how it started, and then they introduced the Star Wars IP. So I don't know if it's a Disney thing, like they have to do it for all of Disney's properties. I'm surprised we didn't get Indiana Jones Epic Hero Series. But to speak about Indiana Jones, if it's one thing I've learned, they come up with a new line or a new size class of something I love. And then when they go to add the second IP to it, it dies. We saw it with Mission Fleet, very successful with Star Wars. They introduced Indiana Jones, it died. Now they've started off with Marvel. I thought it was doing well. You know, the X-Men were great, Spider-Man's been great, the Avengers have been great. Now they're introducing it with Star Wars, and they seem to be dying because I just keep seeing the prices being slashed over and over again. And the thing that just doesn't make sense to me, these are both Disney IPs, so you can't argue that. But again, you'd get a boxed Avengers or Spider-Man figure for $10 to $12. These are now plastic bubble on card, but again, $10 to $12. These have the same kind of head movement, but I would argue they have more of a ball joint, so there's more movement there. There is a hinge in the shoulder. There is a hinge and a rotation at the elbow. There is a hinge and a swivel at the hip. And there is a hinge and a rotation in the knee. So again, they're both Disney IPs. They are about the same price. And they both usually come with one or two accessories. So why did we go from this amount of articulation to 5 POA? You're losing a hinge. You're losing a hinge and a swivel here. You're losing a hinge here. And you're losing a hinge and a swivel here. I don't get it. I don't understand if they were going to do these with the same level of articulation as these and they were $10, I might be into it because then I'm somewhat comparable to the vintage collection. I'm better than the retro collection, but I'm cheaper than probably both of them. I'm like, okay, that is a good idea. That is filling a niche that hasn't been filled yet. A decently articulated Star Wars action figure for a reasonable price, just like what they're doing with the Marvel figures. But they're not. They cut out half the articulation, and then they made it the same price as like around the retro collection. But they already have the retro collection, and they've already done Mando in the retro collection, and most of the characters that they've done in Epic Hero Series for Star Wars have been done in the retro collection. Now, I understand that the design is not the same. You know, your retro Darth Vader is not the same as the Darth Vader they've put out in this series. I get that. It obviously looks more modern, and I personally think it looks cooler. Never been a fan of the way they did capes and stuff back in the 70s, but I guess I don't understand why this was needed. I feel like you had this. I feel like most bases were covered with this, and you made this. I understand it's for a younger target audience, and you filled it with missiles, spring-loaded missiles, because you seem to think that's what everybody wants. So it's kind of like bridging the gap. It's this level of articulation, but with a slightly modern look. Less articulation than this, but for a slightly cheaper price. Was that really needed? Like, if these were starting out at $7.50, $10, I mean, I look at what Spin Master does. Spin Master, here, hold on one second. Spin Master will put out this Batman figure with the same, pretty much the same articulation as this Iron Man for $6, $7. Now, granted, no accessories, so there's that. You know, this comes with an accessory or two, and maybe it's a couple dollars more. But, like, Spin Master can do this level of articulation, detail, sculpt, paint for $6 or $7. And then this comes along, and this is $12 with less articulation, maybe, I would argue about the same amount of sculpting and paint, and maybe a little bit more paint, and I would argue, one or two accessories. I guess I just don't get it. I just feel like it's reinventing the wheel, but in a worse way. I feel like we had plenty on the table already for, 3 3/4 inch, 4-inch offerings for Star Wars. And this is like this, it's like halfway in between these two. And I just don't know that we needed that level. Like if it had the same articulation as this and it was around the same price, then I would totally get it because it's vintage collection for a younger audience with a similar level of articulation, not as polished, a little bit cheaper. Totally get it. This is obviously fulfilling a very specific niche. It's people who loved the original Kenner Star Wars from the 70s and early 80s, and they want that 5 POA. I get that. This just feels like they were trying to get here and fell short, and I just don't know what corner this belongs in, what niche is filling. I just don't... I feel like I just don't get why it exists. That's my soapbox. I wanted to kind of get into it because I've been thinking about this for a while, and to me it's no surprise that it's not doing well because I feel like it's just retreading a lot of things, and I don't get it. I just don't really get it. And I'm really afraid that it's going to tank this because I love this line. Everything they've been doing over here for Marvel has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of weird repaints and way more Spider-Man than we've needed, but for the most part, it's been pretty great. And I'm really afraid that this line is going to Indiana Jones this line. If you know what I'm talking about, you get it. But that's where I'm at. For vehicles, I'm on board. Because vehicles, you can get a decent vehicle. It'll fit your old figures. It's cheaper. It's a viable alternative to the vintage collection. Because vintage collection vehicles are nuts. But in terms of the figures, I just don't get it. So if you made it to the end of all that, I thank you so much for sticking around. At the end of the day, I think this is a decent release. You get 2 decent figures. You get a nice N-1 Starfighter. If you're just looking for some kind of vehicle for your Mandalorian figure, whatever you prefer, be it Retro Collection, Epic Hero Series, Vintage Collection, they should all fit in here. And I think this is actually a really nice release because like I've been saying, the Vintage Collection vehicles are just crazy pricey, and this is a viable alternative to get a decent vehicle for a reasonable price. I think the spring-loaded missiles are a little garish. I wish they were mounted underneath. I do really like this feature here with the hyperdrive. I think that translucent plastic looks nice. It's a simple little feature. I think it totally works. I like that a lot. The canopies are decent, little wonky, but they work. Paint applications are minimal, but not bad. Overall, when you think about the fact that maybe $20 of the $30 ask for this set is the vehicle itself, I think it's fair. I mean, could it be a little bit more decked out? Could it have a little compartment to store the other accessories that you can't have him use while he's in the cockpit? Could he have had at least one blaster? Sure. All that would have been nice, but I get it. Cost-cutting measures need to be made. I think it's a decent release. Like, if you wait and find this on sale, I don't think the $30 asking price is ridiculous. If you decide to pick it up at that price, I don't think you'll be unhappy. I don't think you'll be disappointed. But if you wait and get like a 20% off sale, or maybe it goes on clearance and it's half off, for half off, I think this thing would be a steal. For $15, I think it would be an absolute steal. Even if you could just get like 20% off and get it for around, $24, I think that's perfectly fair. I think you'll be happy. It's a nice alternative to a ridiculously pricey N-1 Starfighter. And if you're just looking for some kind of vehicle for your 4-inch figure to fly around, this is fun. I like it. Could it be better? Sure. Could it be worse? Yes. It could definitely be worse. I think they did a decent job here, and I think it's kind of fun. So I'll stop talking. Thank you so much for sticking it out to the end. Let me know what you guys think. I want to hear from you. Do you agree with the whole Epic Hero series soapbox that I went on in general? What kind of Star Wars stuff do you collect? Do you think you're going to pick this one up? Let me hear from you in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.